Okay, he is cultivating the sorghum for the last time, and as he goes away from us, I'll show you why it'll have to be the last time. See those bigger plants? He's hitting those. If they get any bigger, it'll completely knock them over. So cultivating is not the greatest thing for regenerative farming, but the difference is that we're going to do is as soon as this crop gets off, there's going to be a crop of cover crop on it, and then the chickens are going to come on it and fertilize it. So the only thing that's ever bare is in these rows, and they won't be bare long because this sorghum has really taken off, and they'll start overshadowing the rows. Look how precise he has to be to not knock down the sorghum. Look how good it looks after he's been over it. And this is our way of weed control. And next will be my turn to get out here with the hoe and up against the plants, get the grasses out. But like I said, I'll only have to hoe this one time, and then get so big that their shade will keep the weeds from coming in. Hi neighbors, and welcome to Miracle Farm 1927 Homestead, and we are coming to you today from our sorghum patch. It is the last day of July, and we got our sorghum planted a little late, but we have had so many questions on how we plant our sorghum, what kind of sorghum we plant, how many inches apart. So we're going to answer your questions today. And you can see it behind us and how tall it is, and we'll give you a few more pictures of that. But Joey's going to answer these questions for you. So, Joey, when do we plant our sorghum?
We need to plant it around the 1st of June, but it was a little wet this year, so we got it in a little late. So we planted probably around the 15th of June, but it's going to be all right, I believe.
And when do we harvest it?
We're going to try to get it harvested before our frost date is about October 15th, so we're going to try to get it before then.
And does the frost affect sorghum like it does like sweet potatoes, or is there a reason why we get it in before around the frost?
Well, yeah, once it gets frostbit, the old timers always said it causes it not to be as good, and it also dries up real quick after it gets frostbit.
Oh, so there's not going to be as much juice.
Right.
So normally we try, even if it's going to frost like in the morning, we try to get all the leaves off before the frost. And another reason that we take the leaves off is we're in North Carolina, and the frost season is also hurricane season. And even though we're closer to the mountains, we can still get those strong winds. And this sorghum has great big leaves on it, and it will fall over just like corn. So we try to get those leaves off if we hear that there's a big storm coming through. If the leaves aren't on them, the wind can't pick it up and flatten them as bad, and they're easier to harvest. Our next question is, someone asked, how far apart do we plant the plants?
So we normally shoot for about 7 inches apart, and we try to plant real thick because sorghum is hard to get up a lot of times. So we'll plant real thick, and then we'll go back in and thin them. And if we've got 2 plants side by side and ain't one for a foot on each side, we'll leave 2 growing right together. But we try to shoot for around 7-8 inches apart so they'll get a good stalk. The thicker you leave them, the smaller the stalk's going to be, because there ain't enough nutrients right there for that many stalks to grow. So 7 inches apart is a good rule to follow.
And we're trying to get great big old fat stalks is what we're after. The fatter the stalk, the more juice is in it.
I was going to show you here kind of how they ought to look in the field. Like I say, they're not going to be perfectly 7 inches, but like I say, here's one too close, so we're going to go ahead and pull it off. And these here, that one's about 3 inches, and this one's about a foot, and this one's about a foot. And here's some little ones. We'll pull those out and leave one there, and here we'll pull that one out and pull this one off over here, and that leaves 2 big ones together. And then look, we've got a 2 foot there, so these will grow fine that close together. So that's kind of how you want it to look right there.
So our next question is, how do we plant these? They would be a little bit hard to plant by hand unless you were planting a really small patch. And our patch is just the right size for our pan, and we'll go show you that in a minute. But this is our little planter that we use for our garden. And tell them about the plates, Joey.
Well, you've got several different plates. You've got one for corn, one for beans. The corn plate, it's further apart, and then the beans is a little bit closer. And then you've got smaller ones. This is for Swiss chard and beets and okra. And this is for little bitty seeds, cabbage, tomatoes, and lettuce, onions. But right here is the one we found was the best for the sorghum. It is the radish, asparagus, leek, and spinach plate.
Give me one of those bigger ones. So I'm going to bring it up real close so you can see the difference in the size of the holes. And that's what the little seeds go in. And you want to tell us what kind of seeds we use?
So when we harvested last fall, we cut the tops off and laid them out and let them dry. And then we put them in bags. And then we just kind of shelled them out. And then we took a hair dryer and poured them over a bowl, and we blowed through them and blowed all the, it's got little pieces of leaves and trash in it around the seed there, so we clean that out, because you don't want nothing but seed going through your planter, because if you got trash instead of the seed, it's going to try to plant trash instead of a seed, and there definitely ain't nothing going to come up there. So we like to get them clean as possible. And this is Stella, and I think it's around 120 days to grow, but it gets real tall and real big is the reason we like it. So we're going to keep growing it. It does boil lodge a little bit when the wind gets big. So,
and the seed heads get heavy when they're wet.
She also spoke about taking the leaves off before it gets so big and the storm's coming, so that's why, because it gets about 16 feet tall. So Stella is what we like.
And I am going to link a video above that we just did recently, and it's showing you how we clean the seeds with a hair dryer. So very low-tech stuff. And can you tell people where they can get seeds?
No, it's kind of hard to find. You just have to get online and look and see if you can find some seed dealers that's got some, because like I said, they're hard to come by, so that's the reason we save ours. So if you plant a patch and get some seed, be sure and save them.
Yeah, so if you just get a few seeds, plant those few seeds. There is a lot of seeds on one head, so you can grow you a bigger patch next year.
This is our pan. It holds around 100 gallons of juice. So we grow about 1,400 row feet of sorghum to squeeze to fill this pan, and that makes one cooking. And this pan's about 8 feet long, 3 feet wide, and about 10 inches deep. And like I said, it's hard to find anywhere to buy a pan like this. You about have to have them made, and this is stainless steel. So have to get somebody that can bend and weld stainless steel to make one. But this is a size we use to do about 100 gallons of juice. Like say, if you don't want to grow this much, or this is like say 100 gallons of juice going to make about 10 gallons of molasses, and if you didn't need that much, you could find you a smaller pan, and as long as you've got it about 10 inches deep to start with, it don't matter how big it is, it will cook down and you'll still have plenty on the bottom. But you've got to still have a good layer on the bottom or it will scorch. So however big you make your pan, you still want it about 10 inches deep, so when it cooks down, it'll still leave enough that it won't scorch it.
So could you not get a 10-gallon pot to cook down to 1 gallon? Wouldn't that work?
Yeah, as long as you've got the volume above, the juice is deep enough when you start, so it'll be deep enough so when you finish, you've got sorghum syrup so it don't scorch. As long as you've got plenty in the bottom of the pan. And a little bit about our cane mill. People ask about it. It's actually family members that we borrow. We're blessed to have a family that's good enough to let us use that thing, and we're hoping we found us one. Just stay tuned and keep watching it. It's almost the 1st of August, so it's sorghum time is coming around quickly. So stay tuned with us and watch us harvest this year.